Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our next program. I am so excited about this one. So when we hear the phrase or the song title, A Natural Woman, we automatically think of an icon, Aretha Franklin. But there is another icon that has to do with a natural woman, and she is standing right behind me. I am at the Grovian Doll Museum and the Carmel Doll Shop, and we are going to hear all about it from Michael Canadas. Hey, Michael.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
How are you?
Good. Well, we had a little lunch, and now
Yes.
we're powered up.
We are.
So, A Natural Woman. That's the title of the program, but it should really be called The Natural Silhouette. But we know our target market, and they know when you hear A Natural Woman, you think of Carole King, who wrote it, and then of course Aretha Franklin. So the reason we're doing this program is that right now there is a little renaissance happening in this particular very short period of time in Victorian clothing. And that has a lot to do with what's going on with the Dolly-act that is now out there, and the new Jumeaus that are out there, that people are thinking of doing other eras. And the natural silhouette is a very, very unique and special period in fashion. It's not easy to come by because it's really from the late 70s to about 1882, and then it becomes passé. So what they mean, so here we have a Pierre Jumeau, and which collectors call a portrait Jumeau. It's not really, I wouldn't say it's a portrait of any particular person, it's just a very gorgeous doll. But I don't mind the terms portrait Jumeau or Adelina Patti or anything like that, because it gives you and me a way to communicate. When I say a portrait Jumeau, that's the face that you think of. But I don't think that the Jumeau company ever branded anything in that way. But that's okay. But we're not really going to talk about the doll or the company Jumeau, because I don't think that they probably had a whole lot to do with this wardrobe. I think this is a probably, in my opinion, probably an American wardrobe. But what it has is it has the natural silhouette, which means that, like the forget-me-not dress, it's a form-fitting silhouette. So it doesn't have the exaggerated bustle. It doesn't have a few instances. It's in this wardrobe has two pieces, but these masterpieces like this one, and I'll get that for you, Rachel, because I know it's a stretch. This is one piece, and look how incredible it fits the body. And I don't know if it's going to show on camera, but this is just an amazing construction job. And look at these buttons: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. 19 buttons. These are all working buttons.
Just on the front.
Just on the front. Those are the working buttons. And then we have this amazing piping. But this is what is meant when you hear that natural silhouette. And I know, like Joshua, who follows the things we do, he particularly likes this era. And it really is, it's really sensational if you think about that. If you changed a few pattern pieces on it, shapes, this could be very modern, very chic. It's usually not, unless it's a ball gown, something like that, it's usually simple, simplistic. But I have to tell you, if you were constructing this, as far as the work, this is not a decoration, this is a separate scene. This is a tremendous amount of work to get just right. And of course, we've got the little black dress. And again, this has got, I mean, look at all that. What I think is really interesting too is this dart is very similar to the forget-me-not dress, because it has a dart that's long. So normally a dart, if it were on a bodice, would go to about so. But see, they have this whole dart here. And it's, again, it's an amazing design. And look at those center seams.
love it.
Look at the back center seams. That is a lot of construction work because you have to not only put the pieces together, then you have to finish all of that because sloppy work wasn't permitted. And then all of the piping, and it's pretty amazing. But look at the very tray chic pocket. Isn't that fabulous?
Our sewers out there are just screaming.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
And you know what? Honestly, 99% of the sewers out there would never pick this combination of colors. But this is a true of the time period color. And they were also very clever because you could take this is probably a skating costume, I think, because she's got a pair of skates. And you could take that coat and put it on this dress.
Well, that would be divine.
And now here we're natural silhouette, but you know, you have to also have everyday clothes. So here you have an everyday suit that she could wear every day. It could be for walking, it could also for being around the house, not particularly, you know, sensationally fashionable, but it was part of the wardrobe.
Well, you know how I feel about polka dots.
I love polka dots. And then, okay, they call it the natural silhouette, but there were enhancers. And she's got a few different kinds of enhancers for different feelings. So really in the 19th century, if a girl didn't have it all, whether it was in the breast area, the hips area, they used padding.
I think they still do.
They, well,
Pretty sure.
Now you can buy permanent padding, but back in those days you couldn't do it. You had to make your own padding. What I think is really fascinating about dolls, and you know, there's lots of historical costume clubs, and there's lots of great museums that are filled with wonderful things. Beautiful. We've covered a lot of them, Rachel. You and us's, and but the thing about a doll, an original doll, she has it all. So she has from top to from jewelry to hairstyle to underclothes, and then here's something that's very unique that this is gonna make people really think. Now in this early of clothes, look at how the front of the slip is lower than the back. Now that is historically correct because even though we're having this natural silhouette, having a little female tummy was not a negative. That meant you were a girl. Somehow in high fashion, the female figure has become like pubescent boys, prepubescent boys instead of women. Where in this era, even though they're trying to slim everything down, if you had a little bit of a curvature to your tummy, it was a sign of beauty, just like having a tiny waist and an ample bosom. So a lot of these things that you're going to find in a doll's wardrobe that you're not going to find anywhere else. And this doll is also really blessed that she has an original photograph and then all of the accoutrement. And it's not, of course, she may have lost pieces along the way in the last 140 years, but most real wardrobe dolls had enough clothing for a week. So it would have every occasion. And she even, the shoes are amazing.
Those are wonderful.
Yeah. And then you've got to have your everyday stuff. So she has a pinafore, and you could almost say that this is out of style, you know, from where we are now, but this is utilitarian. So this is something that if she's going to do her hair or some housework or the doll, then she could put this on and it would cover everything. And you could see that it would just easily cover everything to protect the garments because they didn't have the dry cleaner down the street to clean something if they made a mess. But this is, I think, what's so great about what people are doing now And here's another enhancer. So this, I would imagine, this is probably for her, which we don't have, but her evening gown. And you know, it's just like it's basically exactly like the real thing. You know, sometimes the real things, which I've shown in other videos, have a lot of ruffles and lace on it. This doesn't have that, but this is a utilitarian item. So this would go around the waist, and this would go behind the legs. So she wasn't trying to get into this. This was behind her. And if you take these and you tie it differently, you get different shapes. Depends on what she's going for.
Well, if she's going for social distancing, it'll certainly help.
Yeah. And of course, one thing that was really very important in the 19th century, and even up until my life, early in my lifetime, gloves. You didn't go out of the house without gloves, and these happen to be almost an opera length, not quite, but longer than normal gloves. But look at those little buttonholes.
Those are so sweet.
It's just an amazing piece. And so, I mean, I think that this is for the people doing and I know you're going to have in your, or you already have on your site, you've got the new Deliacs and the new Jumeaus.
Yes, we do. We're very excited about that.
They should be dressed in this era, because the Deliac is really, I think, just 2 or 3 years that they were manufactured, right smack dab in the natural figure. So you could take our pattern that's going to be downloadable, and you could do some modifications, and you could have the natural silhouette. You could be a natural woman.
A natural woman. We'd love you to make a kit encompassing all of these little things. How about that?
Well, you know, we might do that. Why not?
A natural woman kit.
Yes, today Samantha's working on, officially yesterday, the pattern was complete because we showed a video of the piece. There are some modifications, that just a couple that I won't spring on to her today, but she's informed me that this is a very difficult project.
Oh,
and I was
well,
like,
we sure appreciate it.
Well, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that. So, but no,
we're all up for a challenge.
It really could be done, you know, because now
you could just get all the fun little
like
pieces.
Now the corsets, if you want to use, this is I haven't opened it up, but if you wanted, now they're making simulated whalebone for this. So now there are things, this can be done. I know that there's a lot of Timothy and Jeffrey and that whole crew, they all have, and lots of other people, they have supreme talent. And by the way, I just think that there is so much talent out there.
Yes.
And they're doing great things, and they're sharing. There's some people that don't do great work and don't. Angela's another one, does great work. And then there's a lot of, which we're proud of, there's a lot of people that are new sewers that they blow my mind because the things that they've been doing. So, and you know, I mean, by your supplying dolls and we're supplying dolls, they're having a ball.
They're having a blast.
But this is an area that really needs to spend more time. The only problem is there really aren't that many examples around to copy, because it is a short, minute period in time. And then fashion goes, you know, it goes in another direction, as it always has, and it goes forward and backward. And the inspiration comes from the back, and then it's brought forward.
What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite time period of fashion?
You know what? It really is, as I'm working on it. Do you know what helps to really have a favorite time frame? Is when you're immersed in it, to study it. You know, there's a lot of ways you can purchase economics, politics, what was going on in the world. So anytime I get myself, as you said earlier, we're culture vultures. If I get into it, then I have to know what's going on in 1880.
Right.
You know, is that when we sent our first dollar princesses over to England? What were they wearing? Like Sarah Churchill. What was she wearing? Then that gets everything going. And then, of course, as I learn, because I'm learning just like everyone else, construction, colors, the fabrics, then it gets me going. So I don't have a favorite. I have some not favorites that we won't go in. About the time that polyester comes in, I kind of lose
Zone
interest.
out a little bit.
But there's a part of that that's incredible too, because when polyester and rayon and all those first came out, when they first came out, they were more expensive than silks and wools. And then, like anything, eventually, as more companies develop, it becomes cheap and
Hey, didn't Dawn dolls wear polyester?
Yes, they did. And you know what? You could bury it for 8,000 years and it'll come out, it'll look just the same. But it was high style. But that was my point. That was early. Now you're dating me. But that was early. So because it was early, those weren't cheap fabrics. Mm-hmm. Those were, it took a little tiny bit to make it, but but once it kind of becomes mainstream, then I'm lost interest in it. We were in Paris and we were visiting our lady who sells vintage clothing. So don't call me because she's retired and she's not doing this anymore. But we were there and she has a shop and it's in the most dangerous part of Paris. And the door, when you open the door, it's hanging on one hinge. And she's smoking her cigarettes and the smoke's going up into the Worth gowns. And one day we were there and the designer Jean-Paul Gaultier was there. And he came with his important crew. And who were we? We were just little Americans from California. And I'm pulling the stuff that I want out. And they're having quite a conversation amongst themselves. And I'm listening to it. And then Finally, I pulled two things out and I handed them to him and I said, you might want to look at these things. And he was like, what? And he said to our friend, you never show me anything like this. You never show me. And I just pulled them out and I said, you could take the sleeve and you could take the back. And what's really interesting why I remembered that is it was a piece, like I said, this piece could be modern. It was a piece like this. It had a lot of this. See how this tab comes out and the buttons? It had this kind of slightly military work. Mm-hmm. The yin yang, male, yes. Female.
So popular right now.
So popular now, but and then I gave him my advice and then clicked my heels and I was off.
You're out of there.
Yeah.
Oh, what a fun experience that had to have been.
I hope that it was just one of those kind of strange things because he was looking at us like, who are you? Because he didn't know who we were. And but I hope that everybody has fun with this period and because it is something new and different and a challenge.
It is. We're going to go in and take some close looks at all these wonderful goodies here.
And then, of course, these are rubber shoes for when it's raining. And her, the classic handbag, there's nothing new under the sun. This has been around for a long, long, long time.
Great Bordeaux color.
Uh-huh, absolutely. And their hair comb. And by the way, a lot of people think...
Oh, look at her snowshoes.
Yes, and a lot of people think that this goes in the front like a tiara. It really doesn't. It goes in the back up like that. Or it could go on the side up.
Love that.
Yeah, I love those too. And hairpins. Look at those hairpins.
Love the hairpins. Yes.
Are those to dye? And I think that this chapeau, yes, has a label in it.
Oh, look at that. Jeffrey's taking a screenshot right there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And this one could go with that too. So you have a lot of things that could be interchanged. It could also go with that one. Look at here. Isn't this interesting about fashion? Look at it here now, this hat. Now look at it over here. It just became greener, didn't it?
Yes.
Did you see that?
That's amazing.
I mean, look at that. Okay.
Almost looks cream.
Ecru, and then you put it over here, and it just takes on that color. And obviously, there must have been a purple ensemble that was probably the matching silk that didn't survive. But whoever owned this, obviously red burgundies were their color, because there's there. So that was their and more burgundy things here. And then of course a little bag, which I think goes with that. It's very cute. So it was nice for her to get out of her little case. Sometimes she doesn't get a lot of attention because those pesky Hirés and roamers are getting all of the attention. But
No, she's an icon. She needs to make her screen time.
and
So she deserves it.
These are beautiful dolls. The Portrait Jumeau is a beautiful, sweet, very approachable fashion doll, in my opinion. You know,
It's one of my favorite faces on a Jumeau.
yeah, it has. I mean, I've seen a couple of haughty ones, but usually they are very, very open, sweet, you know, darling. And of course, she has her American trunk, and I'm going to assume that some of the goods that she has were from this millinery goods store in Philadelphia, because that was very carefully put in the bottom of the trunk.
How wonderful.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Oh, that's
I mean, look
very
at
delicate.
look at this logo. Isn't that gorgeous?
Yes.
You know, it's just a gorgeous logo.
That's so...
And I bet nowadays we could go and Google 733 Arch Street, Philadelphia, and we could have a look.
Maybe print...
And it's quite a big location, because it's 113 through 15. And millinery goods, people think of millinery goods as just for hats. You could go and get fabric, lace, ribbon, you know, all kinds of crafting things. And, you know, they took that very, very, and of course they're importers. So we have to wonder, did the doll come from, you know, was it carried? Those things we'll never know. Unless, of course, if I could put a little time in it and you go and you look at the Philadelphia directory, and then you can find out the census of what they sold. And I know that one of the people that is watching this will do that immediately, because they always do. They'll find out and then post it and share it with us.
Well, as a fashionista myself, this was such a treat. I always love learning about fashion and historic garments.
Well,
Thank
and
you
we
so
can't
much.
we can't learn too much. It's fun.
Oh, it's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun to be fashionable.
Yes,
Well, thank you
absolutely.
so much. What are we doing next?
Well, I think it's time for us to let our hair down, take off our fancy clothes, and go run at the beach.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Let's do it.
Is Rose coming?
Rose is not she doesn't do the beach.
She doesn't do the beach, okay.
Because she knows she's all about having the right clothes, and she doesn't have any beach clothes. She just doesn't quite understand taking the waters. So she'll stay.
She'll stay.
She'll
All right.
stay.
Well, we're looking forward to it.
She's an old girl. She's got to get her strength up for 2 days of parties. So you gotta
She's
cut her
just gonna
some
rest.
slack. She's gonna rest.
She's gonna rest. All right. Well, this was a blast. I know all of you loved it. Definitely give Michael some comments if you have any questions. That was so much fun. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.